for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Monday, June 26th. It is now 4 minutes past 10 o'clock Eastern. And Montreal is where I am, more specifically in my beautiful basement. Built a little podcast studio on my home in Ville-LaSalle. And I save on the rent. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so. The more subscribers we have on YouTube, the more money we make. It's also a very beautiful thing. We'd like to thank our partners for bringing you the Sick Podcast. Thank you very much to Energy Transportation Group, named by the Financial Times as one of America's fastest growing companies in 2023. They've been recognized by the Globe and Mail as a top growing Canadian company for 2 years in a row. They work with some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies providing end-to-end logistics services. Join a winning team and check out Energy's career page for available opportunities. We both joined the winning team, the Sick Podcast and Energy Transportation Group, when we decided to partner up on this venture. We thank them for their support. Also brought to you in part by Playground, your premier gaming destination. Playground's Summer Million is the must-play poker event of the season, featuring 10 championship ring events, $1 million in guaranteed prize pools, and a $500,000 guaranteed main event located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. It is Playground. And brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards, La Bittt TV offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bittt TV, embrace your true nature. I was watching the NHL awards. At one point, I stopped here to prepare the show. It's probably over by now, or just about. We'll get to it in just a second. Of course, we're also about 45 hours or whatever it is from the NHL draft. Speaking of which, there's going to be a special time for the Sick Podcast on Wednesday night. All right. The Sick Podcast, which normally airs live at 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday, will go at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. So put that in your calendar right now. If you don't know how to use a calendar like me on your smartphone, even though there's kind of like a calendar app, and it should be the easiest thing to do, if you're like me, send yourself an email. I call my email the subject field. I put important dates, and I have every single date, every single time of where I have to be and stuff like that. That's my schedule. But then I improvise a lot. I'm one of those guys that's a lot into improvisation. Before we get to our regular collaborator on Mondays, I want to give a special shout out today to Joe Battista, who's been following us pretty much since day one. Joe was listening when I was doing radio. Joe has been listening and watching since day one of the Sick Podcast. And Joe, this one here tonight is dedicated to you because I've been thinking about you. You've reached out to me from time to time. You called in a couple of times, and I've been thinking about you lately. And I'm with you, Joe. I'm with you. I've been told that Joe loves when I say emozitu. So, Joe, just for you to start this show, from Marinaro to Joe Battista. Joe, emozitu mo. Thinking of you, Joe. Love you, buddy. All right, okay. Without further ado, let's bring in our guy from Sportsnet and sportsnet.ca, Eric Engels. What's going on? I don't hear you, Eric. But we have a green room, too, where we can prepare all this stuff, But lo and behold, this happens to us all the time. Eric, do you hear me? No. It's going to be one of those nights tonight. Tonight is going to be one of those nights. Shane, let's get Eric Engels to the green room. But is it possible? But we have one cracked.
You got
we
me
got
now?
it now. Now we got you. What happened?
I was muted.
You were muted.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Like my first Zoom call. You're getting a very under the weather version of me tonight.
You know what? I'm under the weather too.
I'm not sick, but my allergies have been destroying me for the last 2 days.
Well, I'm embarrassed to do this, but look at this, okay? Because I shouldn't be doing this. Yes. This is me.
Yeah. It's not
like,
fun.
I don't know. When you have tissue paper, like who actually has a roll of toilet paper? If my wife would see me with the roll of toilet paper, she would get so upset right now because for whatever reason, like just the littlest of things upset her. And this is one of them, by the way. Toll, I can't believe you have toilet paper.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, you see?
So
now I don't know if I have a cold.
I wasn't sure what you were getting at with the toilet paper.
I don't know if it's a sinus. I don't know if it's allergies, but I spent the last couple of days in New York. And when I got back, I just had the sniffles. Speaking of which, congratulations. I haven't had a chance to do this, but one day I'm going to have him on. Okay, I'm going to have him on. But Olivier Maxence Prosper. Olivier Maxence Prosper, I met when he was 10 years old. He came highly recommended. He was a very, very good soccer player playing out of the region of Laval. If memory serves me well, he was playing for the club called Fabros. And he came out to some tryouts. And him and my son ended up playing on a team out of Montreal that went to Spain and Portugal to play in a very prestigious youth tournament. At 15 years old, he decided on basketball and not soccer, and it looks like he made a pretty good choice because today he stands at 6'8" with a wingspan of I don't know how much, but a lot, and he was drafted on I don't even remember the nights now because it just went so far. On Thursday night, he was drafted 24th overall by Sacramento, who dealt the pick to the Dallas Mavericks. So my son and I, as well as probably give or take about 50 other Montrealers, made our way down to show some support. So to Omax, who was drafted by Sacramento and dealt to the Dallas Mavericks, congratulations. We're very, very happy for you. So anyway, I came back from New York and I got the sniffles, but anyway, it's no big deal. Okay, so there's a lot going on today in the National Hockey League. A lot. Earlier today, the Boston Bruins traded Taylor Hall and Nick Foligno to the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, we know that over the past couple of years, Chicago traded a lot of players, and they traded away a lot of money, so they probably had to inherit some contracts. That's number one. Number two, they don't want Connor Bedard to be alone, and he just found himself a line mate in Taylor Hall, should they keep him there and not move that pick. And Boston also traded Shane Bowers to the Devils in return for defenseman Riley Walsh. So when all is said and done, the Boston Bruins are now $10.937 million under the cap. Eric, what are they brewing in Boston?
I'm not sure. Like they have to be prepared for the inevitability that potentially Patrice Bergeron or David Krejci decide, or both of them decide that they're done playing hockey. I think it was a big decision for them to extend their careers this last year. And if they decide to continue to do so, that's great news for Boston. And then they'll try and load up their team to make another run at it, right? Like a last dance kind of feel to it, like it had this year. If those guys are gone, or one is gone, or two is gone, like this is one of those situations where who knows? Like I think there's a lot of opportunity. I don't know if free agency is necessarily the avenue that any GM is overly excited about. We'll see what shakes out on the trade market. Like you mentioned, we had a couple today. There's a couple pending. And there's one big one that I know a lot of people are interested in that, as far as I'm concerned right now, is not all booked up and done yet. So we'll see.
All right. So you know what? Without further ado, let's get to it. Pierre-Luc Dubois. And then there were two, maybe more so, one more than the other. But based on what we're hearing, it looked like Pierre-Luc Dubois was on his way to Los Angeles, who are still in pole position. Are the Canadiens still in or are they out? And if they're still in, if they're out, it would lead me to believe that the deal would be done. So that it's not done, it leads me to believe that they're still in, but I don't know that. Are they? Yeah,
I think they're still in. Still in with the caveat that, this is, I would frame it this way. It's Los Angeles player. It's Los Angeles's player to lose at this point. You know, they have the pieces. I kind of want to go off on a side tangent here. You know, like
go off on the tangent, Eric. Go off on the tangent.
I understand Kevin Cheveldayoff's mandate here.
As I am sporting my Maui Gyms, by the way, which I like very, very much. And if a Maui Gym would like to send me a couple of pairs, I'd be more than happy to endorse.
I'll take a couple too. No, listen, the Winnipeg Jets need to sell tickets.
Me too. He wants to take a couple to him.
You know, they had a tough end of year, obviously, and a situation that kind of blew up with Rick Bowness and all the players. You have 3 pillar kind of players in Hellebuck, Dubois, Scheifele, who could all be gone. Wheeler as well, who was the captain, is no longer the captain and could be bought out as far as we're hearing.
Yeah, questo furbo.
And they want to retool their roster, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to just go down the road of a rebuild.
Yeah.
I understand it. From a sales perspective, I get it. You know, they need to sell tickets. It's a market where they absolutely need season ticket renewals, where they want to invigorate their fan base and make them believe that if they're going to lose some really great players there, they're going to bring some really good ones in to make sure that they're competitive and potentially even better than they were when the chemistry broke in Winnipeg.
But
do they need to do it in one deal? You know, the Dubois thing is obviously, you know, as colleagues have reported and suggested, and rightly so.
Yeah.
The Kings have a better offer on the table for what Winnipeg is looking to do, right? If it includes Velarde, which is a name that we believe is definitely involved in this deal, if it includes Iafallo, which is another name that potentially is in this deal, I don't think, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that they want to trade Quinton Byfield. But if that ends up,
if they do that, they're crazy.
Well, but if that ends up being the thing that pushes it over the edge, it'll be because they have identified Pierre-Luc Dubois as the guy that absolutely is better than Quinton Byfield, and they're okay doing it. Now, I don't think
they don't think Byfield will ever hit Dubois' level.
Yeah, I don't think they want to do that. So it might be moot in the end.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, like, they have Hellebuck, they have Scheifele. They don't need to necessarily retool exclusively through the Dubois deal. You know, Montreal has more futures to offer. Maybe Montreal wants to find another team that has the type of pieces Winnipeg would be interested in and trade some of their futures that Winnipeg's not interested in to acquire some of the players that Winnipeg would want. You know, there's a lot of different ways you could skin this cat. What's clear to me is that Montreal is not in pole position from a trade perspective. From a contract perspective, speaking with my sources, neither the Kings nor the Canadiens have had an opportunity to speak contract with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Pat Brisson. What's
clear to me, Eric, is that optics are everything. And the Montreal Canadiens, if they don't acquire Pierre-Luc Dubois, they have to show that they give it their best shot, because or else they're going to get crucified from, you know, a sector of the fan base that wants this player and a sector of the media that wants this player. So they have to show that. And by the way, I'm sure they're interested. But
you say they have to show that they're doing everything possible, but they're clearly not doing everything possible to get the player. If they were really willing to go all in and all out to get the player, they'd have the player. He wants to be here. This was never going to be a thing for Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon of we're willing to do anything and everything to get Pierre-Luc Dubois to Montreal. If he really wants to be here, then he'll step up and decide his own fate. If Pierre-Luc Dubois really wants to be a Montreal Canadian, he could tell the LA Kings he is not interested in signing a long-term deal with them and won't sign a long-term deal with them. And the place he wants to be, and he could tell the Winnipeg Jets, is Montreal, and to work out a deal with them. And that's why when we say the Canadiens are still in this, it is on the faint possibility that becomes a scenario here based on however the negotiations go. Maybe LA works out a trade with Winnipeg where Winnipeg would accept the trade, and then they're able to speak to Dubois, and they don't like what they're hearing in that conversation in terms of what the salary and the structure of the deal would look like.
You're
right,
I think Eric.
It's far-fetched. I think it's unlikely. I think the Kings are likely to get the player, but
Eric, I think you're right. Ultimately, it comes down to Dubois. Like, if Dubois really wants to be a Montreal Canadian, he can be.
Yes.
You know, if he's going to be a Los Angeles King, it's because he had some thinking to do, and ultimately he decided, you know what, LA's a pretty good, cool place to go. I'm going to go.
Yeah. If he really wants to be a Montreal Canadien, it might require the Montreal Canadiens to get a little bit creative to do something that's fair for the Winnipeg Jets, because they're not interested in just a package of futures. I can tell you one thing.
Yeah.
There's zero chance the Canadiens would trade Kirby Dach to get Pierre-Luc Dubois. That would defeat the entire purpose of what they're trying to do here. All those names,
whoever,
Schoolie, forget about it. Jack, forget about it.
From a Montreal
Caulfield,
perspective,
Suzuki,
whoever wants to trade Kirby Dach for Pierre-Luc Dubois, knowing the first season that Dach had with the Canadiens, knowing that he can play center, knowing that he can play wing, knowing that he showed us so many incredible flashes, knowing that he looks like it to be a real good package as well. You need to have it checked upstairs here, because there's something not going right if you want to trade.
You didn't even mention the contract.
$3.5 million over the next 4 years. I mean, that contract it's a steal for the Canadiens.
3 more years. Yeah.
But for 3 more, because it's a 4-year deal. It's a steal.
Yeah. So listen, I mean, I was on with you. I made my case. I said, do I think the Canadiens are a much better team if they get Pierre-Luc Dubois and they have Kirby Dach and Nick Suzuki?
Yeah.
I think they pull that off and walk away with any one of Will Smith or Ryan Leonard or David Reinbacher from the draft. They win the week. And I'm sure Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon are compelled by the idea of doing exactly that. I'm sure they'd love to make it work, but it's got to work both ways. It's got to work based on Dubois asserting that this is absolutely where he wants to be above and beyond anywhere else and doesn't want to sign anywhere else. And then it's got to work in terms of convincing Winnipeg, we're not going to leave you hanging here. We're not going to screw you over, but we're also not going to bend over to get a player who we know in a year from now would walk to us. If Dubois decides that he's not willing to sign long-term with Los Angeles and that thing falls apart, there's a legitimate question as to whether or not he even gets traded to the Canadiens. Maybe Winnipeg says the best deal we're going to get is somewhere that's going to give Dubois a one-year contract and be willing to rent him right now on the market. And the Canadiens say to themselves, we don't have an issue with that, because come next July, we have a pretty strong sensation that he'll come our way and we'll sign him. So we'll see where this all goes. All signs right now seem to point to this working out with Los Angeles,
where his agent lives, by the way, Pat Brisson, and the general manager of the Los Angeles Kings and his right-hand man, Rob Blake, and Marc Bergevin are like this with Pat Brisson. And we know that Marc Bergevin is the president of the Pierre-Luc Dubois fan club. We know that ever since Bergevin was the GM of the Montreal Canadiens, and they tried to acquire that pick because they were very, very high on the
again, kind of a yes and no situation. Like, if Mark loved him enough to give up Suzuki or Kotkaniemi, he'd be here by now, probably. So everybody likes the player. The people you're talking about liking the player, the Canadiens like the player. Marc Bergevin liked the player, but it's never an all or nothing proposition. The Kings have the pieces to be able to go down that road. The Canadiens don't. If the Canadiens structure a deal, logically speaking, if Winnipeg wants players that are ready to play on their roster, like, who's really appealing? Who's really appealing in terms of guys that they don't actually have, right? Like, you have Josh Anderson. If you lose Dubois and you lose Scheifele and you lose Wheeler, that could be a valuable player for you. So he's one of them. Contract regardless, he's under contract for a while, and that's a good thing for Winnipeg, even if it's paying him a bit more than what his actual market value would be based on his production.
So what allergies do you have exactly? Because I'm suffering just looking at you.
Hay fever, grass, trees, dust, and probably the smoke that's blowing it all over the place.
Yeah, so I hear you.
A good couple days. Anyways,
I used to have that, by the way, and I used to take Claritin. At one point, like when I was about 20 years old or whatever, it just went away.
You're lucky. I hope it just goes away by when I wake up tomorrow morning, and then I won't sound like this or look like this. But I appreciate it. So we'll see where this all goes. That, like, the Canadiens ultimately might have to acquire a piece.
Things go away in life, you know that.
Yeah,
things go away. Yeah. My wife had a certain drive, and we got married, and went away. That drive is gone. And family show. All right, let's get back on track over here because I'm going to get myself in trouble. Okay, it was the I thought it was funny, Eric. Give me a laugh. Come on, just so she won't get mad at me. Give me a smile. Laugh.
I had to mute myself. I don't want to be sniffling on your
No, don't sniffle. No, it might be contagious. Hey, a quick shout out to Murphy Clinic, an aesthetic clinic specializing in medical aesthetic care. They offer permanent laser hair removal, as well as a wide range of treatments for skin problems such as acne, rosacea, fine lines, and more. They currently have 2 clinics, one located in Montreal, Shop Angus, and the second on the North Shore in Terrebonne. They're also opening soon in Quebec City. Visit murphyclinic.ca or on Instagram at Murphy Clinic. All right, okay. Why don't we get to some of the awards, okay? We can bring them up. Shane Gaumont is at Master Control. Say hello to Shane, because the Cavalleros, by the way, are in Orlando at a convention for families of SMA, spinal muscular atrophy. So they're involved in meetings pretty much every day for the next couple of weeks, giving their time. So hello to the Cavalleros who are in Orlando. And hello to Shane Gaumont, who's back at Master Control, and he's doing everything that needs to be done here. Shane, can you bring up some of the voting? All right. Calder Trophy, Matty Beniers of the Seattle Kraken running away just ahead of Stuart Skinner, goalie of the Edmonton Oilers. Eric, no surprise. By the way, you're a part of the Professional Hockey Writers Association, are you not?
Absolutely, and I do very proudly vote on the awards.
Amazing!
And I could give you my ballot for the Calder Trophy.
Yeah, who did you have?
In order, I had Matty Beniers first. Guy that finished 4th here in Matthias Michelli, I had 2nd. Had a fantastic season with Arizona and really under the radar. And, you know, when you're voting on these awards from Montreal, you make sure to balance whatever East Coast bias you might have, and that we watch a lot more hockey centrally closer to our market. I really scoured, throughout the season to take a look at who's doing what, where. Owen Power came in 3rd in my ballot. There he is, 3rd in the Calder Trophy voting amongst the entire PHWA. And then I got Jake Sanderson in Ottawa and Stuart Skinner, goaltender in Edmonton. So, yeah, it looks relatively similar to what we see here and relatively similar to what the 3 finalists were. Actually, all the awards. The only award where I didn't have one of the finalists in there on my ballot was Cale Makar, and that just came down to games played for the Norris. So,
okay, let's go to another award. Let's go. What do we have next? Just bring them up, Shane. Norris Trophy. Erik Karlsson, San Jose. Number 1, Adam Fox. Number 2, Cale Makar. Number 3. It's unbelievable. Karlsson, by the way, with a couple of injuries that he had at his age, ended up having the season that he had. I had him winning the Norris too. Who do you have, Eric?
Well, before I get into it, I'm just going to say definitely the hardest award to vote on this year. And just the thought of leaving certain people on this list off my ballot made me lose sleep. Like, seriously. Dougie Hamilton, the season he had, not on my ballot. Cale Makar, just because of games played, not on my ballot. Hampus Lindholm, really, unfortunately for him, when it came to my ballot, a victim of how good Boston was and how good they are defensively from a forward perspective.
Yeah.
Because honestly, he was incredible. I have Erik Karlsson number 1. I'm happy to see that 123 people gave him their first place vote.
Yeah.
And if you tabulate the numbers here, you could see exactly how many people vote. So it's 123 out of, I don't know, something like 180 voters, 170 voters.
Yeah.
I understand the age-old argument, all offense versus complete defenseman, this and that.
Yeah.
This guy had a historic season. And
yeah,
part of my reason for, and it was really a strong debate for me giving him my first vote, because I am tied into the definition of the award. But like when Nikita Kucherov finished 20 points ahead of anybody else in the points for the Hart Trophy, I voted for him for the Hart Trophy. This is just one of those situations where I look at the quality of defensemen and players around San Jose to help Erik Karlsson do what he did this year. They're just not there. And I also think that a lot of people made some excellent cases out there that I read up on, just to kind of support my logic in this.
Yeah, I thought Morrissey and Heiskanen were unbelievable this year.
Yeah, he's not as I don't think Erik Karlsson is as defensively flawed as people make him out to be when they focus on the offense. So he got my number 1. Adam Falk got number 2. Rasmus Dahlin got number 3 for me. Just think he was incredible this year. Totally versatile. Had people in Dallas definitely arguing with me about that because Miro Heiskanen came in at number 4 on my list, and they believe that he's a better player than Rasmus Dahlin. And Josh Morrissey was number 5 on my list.
All right, okay, next. As Eric and I are both going to blow our nose.
Dying.
Really, eh?
Not doing good.
You got to play through pain sometimes. We'll
burn the tape. Exactly. The Masterton.
For the listeners and for the viewers. I'm grabbing my toilet paper here. It's a disaster.
My favorite award is the Masterton anyway, so.
No, go to the Lady Byng. We brought it up.
We're at the Lady Byng. And I see the voting in front of us, and I can't help but think this is cropped out because I could tell you right now, there is somebody who gave a vote to someone that's not on this list as their number 1 guy. And it was me. And I voted for Marc-Andre Fleury, number 1 on the list. No goaltender has ever won the Lady Byng because everybody looks at the Lady Byng and disregards the definition and just says whoever has the most points and the least penalties is the guy who wins the award.
Okay.
And, it took a long time to get Jacob Slavin recognized. I see he's 4th on the ballot here, but to me, this was a no-brainer. Like, Fleury played real quality minutes for most of the season, and he's a sportsman when I think about this award. I honestly, I can't think of a player who better personifies this award than Patrice Bergeron. I think he is the ultimate guy, and I don't know if he's ever won the award or ever been nominated for it.
He's the ultimate gentleman.
Because he gets about 40 penalty minutes a year. I mean, who cares? It's got nothing. The definition is the player who exhibits the best sportsmanship with a high standard of play. Who better personifies that than Patrice Bergeron or Marc-Andre Fleury throughout the years? I can't believe we are so stuck in our ways with this award. It drives me nuts, but nobody cares about this award, and that's why it's gone the way it has. So I had Marc-Andre Fleury first. It was almost a bit of a protest vote. I want to see a goalie win this award. I want to see them recognized more. And if people look at it and see, 1 vote went to that guy, maybe some of the voters will look at it and say, you know what? It's time we start considering the goaltenders of the game and talk to other players in the league and find out what their reputation is from a gentlemanly conduct standpoint, and you'll see everyone would have that to say about Marc-Andre Fleury. He's the ultimate competitor and a guy who everybody loves.
Now, from 2006 to 2009, Pavel Datsyuk won this award 4 years in a row. And then in 2010, 2011, and 2013, at a rate of 3 times in 4 years. Do you know who else won this award?
Brad Richards at some point.
Martin St. Louis. Habs coach Martin St. Louis won the Lady Byng 3 times in a span of 4 seasons, 10, 11, and 13. Is that something?
Listen, it's justified. But like you just mentioned that was a 20-year span, basically, you just went over where it's all forwards. If you see a defenseman out there who's got 4 to 8 penalty minutes on the season that plays upwards of 23 minutes a game, like Slavin.
Yeah. He won it in 2021, by the way.
Slavin won it. And he deserved to. And there was a campaign to get him there because we never reward defensemen with this award, and yet it's much more impressive if they can go a long time without getting penalties than forwards. They're playing a lot more minutes and in much harder situations. Anyways, I had the other 3. I had the 3 guys who were the finalists on my list, despite giving Marc-Andre Fleury my first award, my first vote. It went Braden Point, Jack Hughes, Anze Kopitar in that order right after. Anze Kopitar won the award, obviously, and Jacob Slavin was number 5 on my list.
All right. Who else do we have? What other award? Selke, Patrice Bergeron won it for the 6th time in what has become the Patrice Bergeron Award. They're going to end up naming this award after him when he ends up retiring, which might be, any day now. We'll see what happens, whether or not he's going to be back for another season or whether he's calling it quits. But, Nico Hischier had an amazing year for the New Jersey Devils. But look, 187 first-place votes for Bergeron. I mean, this guy ran away with it, like really ran away. That's amazing.
So we have 197 voters, and 187 gave him a first-place vote, including myself. I'd love to know who the 3 people are that gave Nico Hischier a first-place vote, or Mitch Marner a first-place vote, or even Jordan Staal a first-place vote, or even Anze Kopitar a first-place vote, because this was not only was this a slam dunk for Bergeron in terms of him perennially having claim to the award, it was his best defensive season ever. So that's why 187 people gave him their first place vote. Pretty easy
his name is not there, and it's surprising in a way and not surprising in another way because his teammate is there. But it's Phil Deneau. Phil Deneau is not there, and obviously because Kopitar got all the votes in LA. But Thomas Tatar, I believe, got more votes than Phil Deneau did.
It's just one of those years.
Yeah,
the right guy won. I went. I had Bergeron, Hischier, Barkov, Kopitar, Pettersson.
Yeah, that's a good vote, Eric. Next, Vezina, Linus Ullmark. With all due respect to Linus Ullmark, I think sometimes this award ends up going to the goalie that shielded the most and protected the most by his team. Sometimes it goes to the guy who stands on his head, and every now and then it goes to the guy whose team just plays so great in front of him. I don't want to take anything away from Ullmark. I don't think he's the best goalie in hockey, but he ran away with the voting. And I think this was, his team was able to pull it off for him. Like, look, I could be wrong, but I don't think Ullmark's better than Hellebuck. I don't think he's better than Ottinger. I don't think he's better than Vasilevsky. I don't think he's better than Shesterkin. I think there's several goalies in national hockey that are better than him, but he played on the right team who played a right brand of hockey in front of him. So good for him. Who did you have winning?
I didn't. I mean, I didn't have to do a deep dive on this because the GMs vote on the Vezina. That's why you see the numbers are obviously a lot less.
Yeah.
As far as Ullmark is concerned, if I was voting on this award, I would have looked at what his numbers were comparative to Swayman, and then to the rest of the league, and just what kind of impact he had.
Yeah.
If I was voting on this award without doing any research at all, Connor Hellebuck would have been the guy I voted for. Ilya Sorokin obviously was fantastic with the New York Islanders this year, very deserving to be there. UC Saros is unbelievable. He's without him, Nashville would have finished below Montreal in the standings for sure. So
Cam Neely didn't look overly excited for Linus Ullmark that he won the award.
He doesn't look overly excited unless he's getting angry about something. So he's usually pretty chill, Cam Neely. I get this list, and I get Ullmark winning.
He's still upset that they got bounced in the first round. You can tell.
It's tough. I mean, to have the type of season they had and get bounced. If you look at the history in the NHL, and I think we talked about this earlier in the year, any team that has had a season that's close to what the Bruins did this year, with the exception of the Tampa Bay team that had 62 wins and lost in the playoffs, has won the Stanley Cup. So that's a tough one. But full marks to Ullmark. I think he deserved the award. I don't think you could have gone wrong with the first 5 names on this list here, to be honest with you. I'm not sure I understand why Vasilevsky is there. I don't think he had a season that was worthy of the Vezina, hence one vote going his way. I wonder if GM is I wonder if one of the rules in the GM's voting for this is that they're not allowed to vote for their own guy. That would be
I don't know about that. I do know that Ullmark and Swayman combined to win the Vezina, by the way. That happened. And all right, the Hart Trophy in ending, final one. And the Ted Lindsay
You mean
Award,
the Jennings, right?
The Jennings, pardon me. Yes, the Jennings. Also, we didn't get to it, but the Ted Lindsay Award, voted by the players, the best player in the league, went to Connor McDavid. Christopher Letang won the Masterton. Steven Stamkos won the Mark Messier Award. And Jack Adams Award went to, for Coach of the Year, went to Jim Montgomery of the Boston Bruins. And the Hart Trophy, no surprise there, went to Connor McDavid, who was in a class of his own this year. And he beat out David Pastrnak. All right. Hey, by the way,
I can't wait to see.
Who writes the stuff for the National Hockey League? That award ceremony with everyone reading those scripts off the teleprompter and stuff like that, it was awful, man. It was really bad. No, it was bad. Eric, it was bad.
I think it was better than years past, but I'm not here to defend the NHL on that one, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I just wanted to see who won and what they were going to say.
I do care. I want this league to do things well.
By the way,
did you see the clip of Dana White that's made the rounds of social media that the Nelk boys said that they got a note from the National Hockey League that they probably proposed their services to the NHL, and the NHL said they wanted nothing to do with the Nelk boys, who, by the way, have a very, very prominent podcast called the Full Send Podcast. And they said, we don't want nothing to do with you guys. And Dana White's using them to do all kinds of stuff. They're very involved with the UFC. And Dana White called the National Hockey League a bunch of old guys who know what they're doing, a bunch of old journalists and stuff like that. He's not wrong, eh? He's not wrong.
Not. I don't know. I mean, they're not exactly winning awards when it comes to marketing themselves. So
I mean, the NHL All-Star Weekend and the award ceremony is just awful, man. Get a couple of writers and storytellers from the WWE, hire them, give them a contract, and make them take care of your NHL draft.
You should do it. I think you should do it. You'd be great.
You know what? I'm not good at that stuff, but I'll do a better job than them. I guarantee you. But I'm not. That's not my level of expertise.
So my ballot for the Hart is a little different than what we see here, but only in one respect. Connor McDavid, obviously, I was one of the 195 people voting who gave him a first place vote. I can't wait to see who gave David Pastrnak a first place vote over Connor McDavid. I can only assume that it's somebody working in Boston, because honestly, it's hard for me to even understand that. But don't worry, our ballots are revealed on the Professional Hockey Writers Association website, I believe. McDavid, Pastrnak, Tkachuk in that order. That's what I got. Jack Hughes over Nathan MacKinnon, and Jason Robertson over Nathan MacKinnon. That's my ballot. So
I like that because there's no hiding. You know what I mean? You get to see who everyone voted for and all that stuff. All right, okay. We're gonna wrap it up here soon.
Probably a good idea.
The NHL, you and I are suffering big time. I appreciate you plugging away here. The NHL draft goes Wednesday night. I don't think I'm going to talk to you between now and then. I will talk to you after the draft. Is Kent Hughes going to make a trade like he did a year ago?
You know what, man? Like, I'm not big into guessing. You know, when I know something is going to happen, I'm here to tell you right away. When I think something is very strongly, like there's a strong chance it's going to happen, I will tell you. Right now, I'd be guessing to tell you because I'm not sure what else they've had cooking. If they end up walking away from the draft, having just drafted players, that would be a big surprise to me. But I can't even give you an idea of some sort of trade they might have cooking. You know, there could be a couple players on their roster that they move out. Joel Edmondson is a guy that I would circle. Does he need to move this week? Not necessarily.
No.
But there's a possibility he could move. There's a possibility he'll be back in Montreal to play out his last
season. Defenseman at the draft a year ago in Romanov.
Yeah. I haven't given up on the Dubois thing. I don't think it's over quite until LA announces that a trade has been completed and a contract has been signed.
I can't wait for it to be over so we can talk about something else.
I know.
I'm all Dubois out, man.
So long as he remains a member of the Winnipeg Jets, there is a possibility that he'll be a Montreal Canadian. It's a faint possibility as we're speaking right now. It could grow larger in the next 24 hours. Who knows? So we'll see. We'll see what Kent has up his sleeve.
All right. Once again, I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. But on Wednesday night, draft night, what are you laughing for?
I'm laughing because I'm sneezing as we're getting out.
Okay.
I made it 43 minutes without sneezing, but here we are.
I think it's going to be very, very tough for Shane to be able to find the clip of you not blowing your nose or me not blowing my nose to make its way to social media. I don't know if he's going to be able to find one.
Burn the tape.
Burn the tape. All right. Okay. Tomorrow night, same time, same place, 10 p.m. On Wednesday night, 7 p.m. special time. So when most of you get back from work, you know what you're doing. You're going to be watching the Sick Podcast. We're going to have a special show. We're going to have many collaborators. I'm going to go for 3 hours. Last time I did that was the honeymoon. But that's another story for another night. All right, Eric, thanks for doing Look, there he is. Look, this is going to become a ritual.
I don't want to see any clips of this on Twitter.
George Larac usually has his pillow nearby, and you and I have the toilet paper.
You heard me, right? Burn this tape. Like, I don't want to.
We'll talk to you soon, Eric. You have a good one. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. Eric Engels of Sportsnet and Sportsnet.ca. When I talked to him earlier today to confirm that he was coming on tonight, I didn't quite know he had the sniffles like that. And to tell you the truth, neither did I. Maybe it's contagious. The more I saw him blowing his nose, the more I had to blow it. The more I was blowing my nose, the more he had to blow it. My God, these glasses look good on me. I'm telling you. Oof. Maui Jim. Send me a couple of pairs. I like these because they're very light. You see? No weight on it whatsoever. Really, really nice. Hey, special thanks to all of you for watching the Sick Podcast tonight, for watching it live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. If you like it, share it with your friends. Comment Sick, S-I-C-K, S-I-C-K, S-I-C-K. If you're going to listen to it on Google, Apple, or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. It's my way of feeling the love. And, you know, it's a beautiful moment to felicità. Senti nell'aria c'è già la nostra canzone d'amore che va. Once again, a shout out to Joe Batista. This show was for you, my man, Joe and RDP, who's been following since day one. I'm thinking of you, buddy. Love you, man. All right. And special thanks to, of course, all of our sponsors who bring you the Sick Podcast. A shout out to Optimal Stretch Clinic, your one-stop shop where you can get acupuncture, but where they really specialize in fascial stretch therapy. Sam and Charlie Do, the co-owners, check them out at optimalstretchclinic.com. They're open 7 days a week, and they're taking care of me and my family, and they're stretching us out like we've never been stretched out before. For Playground, for Energy Transportation Group, and for the Bittt Tibi, thank you for all your support. For Agnello and Sammy, who are at a convention in Orlando, Florida for families of spinal muscular atrophy and in meetings every day, thinking of you guys. And for Shane Gaumont at Master Control, I'm Marinaro. Tomorrow night, same time, same place, 10 p.m. Talk to you then.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TB, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.